I call to order the Board of Trustee regular meeting for October 4th, 2022, and the time is 6 o'clock. Trustee Johnson, would you like to give an invocation?
I can bow your heads with me. Dear Lord, thank you for this great day in Etna Township and the beautiful fall weather you've given us. I pray that you be with those who keep us safe and are out protecting our country, protecting our lives, and that you be with those loved ones as they miss them as they're gone, protecting us. Amen.
Amen. Please join me with a pledge of allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please, Ms. Varian.
Mr. Evans?
Here.
Mr. Johnson?
Here.
Ms. McKee?
Here. I move to adopt the agenda. Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion?
Mr. Johnson, is there anything that you wanted to add to this agenda?
No.
All right, well, based on the last meeting, your comments, I'm going to I move to amend the agenda to include Refugee Road IGA 2, as Mr. Johnson previously said he was going to request, and I requested for this meeting. The MS Consultants Active Transportation Plan proposal that can be part of the neighborhood strategies, safe schools to route discussion. Advertise road crew position, as I was just informed that one of our employees is leaving at the end of the week, and to take up the Yeti Express liquor permit hearing form that is due by October 11th.
Is there a second? Roll call.
Mr. Evans?
Wow. No.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes. Public comments are limited to 3 minutes per person. Please come up to the podium.
Did we skip the minutes?
Oh, I'm sorry. I sure did. I don't know why it's how I skipped the minutes. We don't have any minutes yet. That's right. We don't have any.
They were already being approved.
Oh.
Is there a reason we can't get these sooner?
So they're not ready, so we can just move on to the public comments. Please come up to the podium and state your name and address, please, for the record.
Vicki Helsel, 9646 Linz Road. I'm here regarding the Scannell property. I haven't been here for a while because of health issues, but I've been in contact with Bill every couple of weeks for the last few months. At the beginning of our emails and his visit to our property, he seemed all on board with what we were asking. We don't know why this has dragged out so long, but we see Scannell as pressuring the township so they can build the second warehouse, and it looks like the township is folding to the developer instead of still backing the residents. All we asked for was a taller wall and arborvitae trees to block the lighting and sound. When this development started, there was landscaping and trees supposed to be back there on our side of the wall, and in the end, the township allowed them to take it out. Scannell put trees all around FedEx, except for on the property owner's side, and we'll probably do the same thing with the next warehouse. That makes no sense that they put trees on the side of the freeway and toll gate, where there are no homes and not on homeowner's side. The last 2 emails Bill sent me said he was still working on the wall and talking about a few trees just around my neighbor and Maya's property, where it is bare. We appreciate getting the taller wall, but the trees would do more than one thing. The pictures I have sent show the lighting back there, lights up the wall. The trees the homeowners have back there right now are not blocking trees, and they lose their leaves. So not only do we still see lit up wall now, even with trees Once they are bare, it's even worse. There's been no update since the last 2 emails, and it has disappeared from the township meeting agenda. With the cost of raising the wall, we don't see how trees back there for all homeowners is really going to increase that amount that much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vicki.
Judy Kaffmeyer, 29 Roma Court. At the September 20th meeting, I addressed the trustees during citizen comments about 3 issues that are now or will be soon important to the residents of Etna Township. Declaring Etna Township as an exclusionary zone from large solar and wind companies, a noise resolution that's been proposed by another resident, and the potential hazard of battery energy storage systems. On Saturday, September 24th, I sent emails to our 3 trustees requesting a special meeting to discuss these exclusive issues. I received a reply from 1 trustee in support and have not heard from either Mr. Johnson nor Ms. McKee. In case my communication was not received, I'll read you that email. I am following up on my request from 9/20/22 for a special meeting to address the following topics: exclusionary zone resolution, noise resolution, and BES. I have spoken during regular township meetings over the past months about declaring Etna Township an exclusionary zone per Senate Bill 52, prohibiting large solar and wind farms in our area, and I encourage our elected trustees to conduct an open meeting for discussion. With only 3 months left in this calendar year, this topic is of imminent importance to Etna Township and the residents. In order to provide the resident point of view about what happens when these large companies move in to take over an area, I suggest that Save Hartford Township LLC be invited to speak at this special meeting. I request that President McKee extend that invitation to Save Hartford Township LLC, and hopefully a compatible date can be agreed to in the coming weeks. I even gave the contact information for that group. The other 2 topics I presented for open discussion are also important to our residents and their quality of life, and could be included in this special agenda. If, however, you choose to have those discussions at another time, I certainly understand. Respectfully submitted, Judy Kaffmeyer, 29 Roma Court. Now, I'm truly disturbed by the lack of concern shown by our elected officials. No response, no acknowledgement, no respect for the people who put you in these chairs. May I remind you that you work for us. And besides that, rumor has it, it might be too late. I certainly hope not. I have copies in case you.
All right, thank you, Judy. And I still support that, but as you see, I don't even get agenda items on here, so I can't get a special meeting.
I don't need one. Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and address it since you gave us.
Aren't these public comments?
Yeah, but I'm going to address her. I want to respond to Ms. Kaffmeyer.
Okay, good.
Because, as you know, I'm very familiar with Heartland LLC.
I know.
I've known them longer than you have, just so you know. Second of all, I've invited them to come here. And in fact, I asked you to bring them to your other board that you sit on, which is the plant. Yes, I did. I asked you to have them come in with Jim Leonard to make sure that they come in to talk to us, and also ask you to reach out to our zoning guy as well, because this is a part of putting together a plan.
The meeting that was canceled last month.
I don't know what meeting that you were talking about. That was
Zoning
canceled.
meeting?
Oh, well, it's not a zoning meeting, okay? It would have been for the board meeting that you sit on. You sit on the plan,
Land use meeting.
yeah, right.
So far, I will tell you.
You should have, in fact, I talked to you standing right here, and you said that you know, that they need to come here. I told you that. And second of all, Mr. Evans said he would take it from there. As far as him picking up on the, yeah, he did. You said that, and that's what I'm asking you, bring a motion.
Well,
You can bring a motion. You
This
said
board won't
you
even take up any agenda item.
I've talked to
They would
you
have
on
to
this
come
several
and
times.
get-
Exactly, I asked you that, I told you, reach out to them. You talked to them. You've been at the COCO meetings with them. So why haven't you invited them since you're on the plan? Why haven't you invited them to come? I've asked them to come and reach out to them and touch
Because I
with them.
respect that you are Madam President, and that would be
And
your
I've called
position.
them and I've asked them to come
I'm
in.
not going to have them come and speak for 3 minutes and be cut off.
Well, they can come and they can reach, I've called them, I've had a conversation with them and asked them to come.
Good.
And they
But
can, just like some other
Respectfully,
people come in.
that's your position.
Excuse
to
me,
invite
Mrs.
people to
Kathmeyer,
come and speak.
I've invited them, that's what I said to you, I have invited them to come and speak. If they don't come, I can't make them come. I've invited them, and I even asked you to invite them. So that would have been 2 of us asking
Well,
them.
actually,
Okay,
I
and that's what I
had
had
approached one of them, but I think
Okay.
you had talked to another person. But, and then it was supposed, it could have been for a meeting, but I think it was declared a special meeting, so that kind of canceled that one
Okay.
out. Now, it's just that I didn't think, I thought if I were to invite someone to come and speak, I would personally see that as overstepping my boundaries.
I've asked you to ask me, you didn't say it was a problem when we stood here one night. Yes, and I have been in touch with them, and I've asked them
Well, but.
several times. I've
So
been-
can we schedule a work session then?
They can
on
come,
this?
I mean, yeah, I don't have a problem with them coming,
No,
there's
you
no
have,
problem at all.
you
with
have
them coming.
to do a
It's not a
special
problem with
meeting,
putting them
work session.
and inviting them to come, okay? And they have the information and the knowledge, and that's why I've asked them to come, because they go around and speak at a lot of different places.
True.
And that's why they have the knowledge, and I've asked them to come, and they said they could come and speak at a comp plan. That would be the best place for them to come and speak. And I even said that to you, and you agreed that you would talk to them and have them come.
Well, you need to come to a comp meeting because.
Oh, I'll be
those-
there.
No.
I'll be there.
Because talk about a disorganized mess. That
I'll be
is.
there.
Ryan Davis, 8807 Watkins Road. I stood up here last time, Mr. Johnson, I thought we were making progress. This is the first meeting I've ever been to where a consideration has been made to put something on the agenda for the next meeting. I don't know if you can recall that happening very often, but I know 2 board members have been here for long, but that's the first time I've ever seen Mr. Johnson. So did you request that via email to Ms. McKee to have Refugee
You never
Road put on
emailed me that, no.
the? Okay. So
It's,
So you didn't
I see
request it?
item D, and you were going to address it.
But you stood up, you sat there as I stood here and said you requested to be on the agenda, so you didn't request it. I'm just going step by step here.
Good.
You didn't request it, okay? So,
Continue on.
okay, as long as we got that clear. I had other things I want to talk about, but I think we can clear something up for the community right now. Can you explain to us how the proper process for a community member or an organization to request to be on the agenda to come in and speak to the community? Because there's things that people want to talk about that aren't getting on the agenda. I don't want to point fingers, but if there's a process that's clear for everybody to understand, then we can go through that process and get things done.
President McKee, I can follow
Yes,
up
sir.
there.
No, I asked
No,
Ms.
No, he won't speak.
Oh,
Yeah.
so,
He's speaking. Go ahead, Mr.
No,
Mayor.
post-meeting, I want the citizens' comments, he's still got a minute.
Okay,
44
so
seconds.
yeah, go ahead and get your minute.
I give the minute 40 seconds to you to respond. That way we're not making the meeting longer.
Well, that's fine. I have no response.
Okay, I got a minute and a half to stand here.
Okay.
Ms. McKee spoke to us about transparency during the election. I feel kind of offended right now, but I feel like dead air is kind of wasted opportunity to say that this is not what we voted for, Ms. McKee. Mr. Johnson, I wasn't against you, and I was trying to help get things moving, and I don't understand the hold-up with Refugee Road. I definitely don't understand why you wouldn't ask. You told me in front of other people that you'd ask, and you didn't. I mean, nothing I did there. I asked politely, and you said yes. Okay, great, and I moved on. I mean, this is sad, guys. I mean, there's discrimination on who's actually getting to speak and who's actually getting on the agenda and what's getting talked about. There are so many dead items here. I'll come back at a later meeting and talk about for 3 minutes the dead items that have just fallen off the list. I mean, can we get something done? A wrong decision is a decision. Nothing is getting done.
I'd just like to say they refused to put that on the agenda today when Mr. Johnson had that opportunity. Can we please get a quieter timer?
Shelly Marie E. Pound, 114 Royalty Drive. I too wanted to finish my comments about Refugee Road from last week. Mine's a little more general. And I know that the township entered into a memorandum of understanding with Tascala, and I think that's great because for 5 or 6 years that I know of anyway, the two entities wouldn't work together, they just didn't work together, so I was really happy to see you guys working together on that. And it seems like Refugee Road is going to need some serious work anyway, sooner or later. It just made sense to me that now would be the time to do that. I just wanted to also say, you know, having that memorandum of understanding in place, it's important that, and it just seems like other people are I don't know how to describe it, and I apologize because I wasn't prepared for that, but I just think it's great. We're in the agreement, we're working together with them now. We've got an opportunity to restore our reputation, because I know in the past we just didn't have a good reputation out and about, so I happen to hear. So good for you guys, and I know things are still in the works and you're still working on it. Thank you for that, and thank you for the opportunity to stand before you.
Thank you.
Mr. Vance, can you use your cell phone or something?
Why?
Because it's very distracting.
Everybody needs to hear it. when the
He's been
timer
doing
goes
it
off.
during their speech.
Okay.
Oh, come on, Mark. Grow up.
That's good. My name is Bill Black, 13398 Palmer Road. Last meeting I asked to be considered for the JEDZ board, and I followed up with that with an email to each of the three of you. I did get an acknowledgement from one, but I see on tonight's agenda that those appointments are pending. I have read the JEDS with Reynoldsburg. I've managed to get a copy of each of the JEDS, and so it's apparent that there's, rather than just JEDZ, there's actually a whole list of JEDS, and probably the same people should be on each one of the JEDS, so there's a coordination from one to the other. So I'll make sure that whatever your considerations are, I'd like to be considered for that, and I appreciate your time and understanding. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Black.
And I believe those should be advertised.
Good evening, I'm Doris Casera Schumich, 9136 Mink Street. And I also agree that the noise ordinance was something that I've requested 3 times to be on the agenda. And just wanted to know what's going on with that. Does anybody know?
I agree with you. I think it should. I've asked for it to be on the agenda. Ms. McKee controls the agenda and refuses to put it on there, or any of my items.
Okay. And then the other thing, the other comment that I have is regarding the agenda ethical principles. And this is just something that personally bothers me. One of the things, the second to the last sentence says, a respectful attitude towards the public, employees, and colleagues will be maintained. But here we witness, and I don't like, to pick on anyone, but I just don't like what I hear when I hear, come on, Mark, grow up, when he's trying to work with other people and just saying a recommendation regarding the timer. To me, it's annoying also when people are talking and you can hear beep, 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 beep. I don't think that's respectful, and I think that that's part of ethical principles. And then at the last meeting, I was congregating with Etna Township community members, just talking on my way out after the meeting, and Trustee McKee, you were taking pictures of us. And I don't think ethically that's professional of you to do as a trustee member. So I just wanted to get that off my chest. That made me feel very uncomfortable and not according to the ethical principles, which I think go both ways.
Evan records the entire meeting, exactly.
So this was outside once the meeting was finished. After the meeting, I should be able to feel comfortable just talking with a neighbor or a community member from Etna Township or another trustee who's asking me, hey, did you get this email?
I think that's great.
I think that should
That's
be.
wonderful.
And that was something that you said when I saw somebody taking a picture and I waved,
Yeah, you
and
did.
you sarcastically said, "That's great." So sarcasm is just, it shouldn't, ethical principles, just using, courtesy both ways from all of us. As you mentioned here, it says public employees and colleagues, residents, all of us should be respecting each other and following that ethical principle. Thank you.
Thank you, Doris.
Is there any more comments?
Gary Burkholder, 254 Trail East. I want to start out by saying I concur with all the comments that have been made here tonight, but I do have a question for Trustee McKee and Trustee Johnson. My question is, why are you suppressing the will and the voice of residents in this community, including a duly elected township trustee, Mark Evans? And we all witnessed it here again tonight. For months, the residents have asked for important topics and pressing issues to be on this agenda. And so has Mr. Evans. And Mr. Evans has emailed those to you, Trustee McKee, in advance, and you failed and refused to put them on. He comes to the meeting, he does the proper procedure, he moves to amend the agenda, and as one resident adequately said, it goes into the agenda black hole, never to be addressed. You are suppressing the voice of the residents of this community. And I can guarantee you, when I was the president of the board, I never did that. Any trustee wanted to bring an item forward or a citizen, we did. So why isn't SCNL on the agenda? Why isn't Storage 1, which is now Rhino 1? These are development problems that have been going on for months. And now you're scrubbing the agendas. You're taking them off, so there'll be no discussion. Why isn't Mr. Vance giving us an update? He didn't give us an update at the last meeting. So now everything's going behind the scenes. I guess my second follow-up question is, what are you afraid of? What are you hiding from the residents? Why won't you discuss these in public? So now these agendas, it's evidenced here tonight. And in addition to that, you've taken off the fire reports, the cemetery reports, the zoning reports, the road reports. When's the last time you gave a zoning report, Mr. Johnson? When's the last time you updated the community and this board on zoning and the pressing issues regarding zoning? Can you answer the question?
Oh, it's your time, you keep talking.
Oh no, I'm going to let you say
Go ahead.
I'm going to save a little bit of time for you to answer that. I'm done.
Okay.
President
When's the last
McKee's-
time? No, Mr. Vance,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Vance, that's enough. I'm talking to the board of trustees, not you. You going to answer, Jeff?
No.
Okay, well, you are consistent, I will say that.
Hi. Ashley
Hi
King,
there, Ashley.
75 Trail East. Hi, everybody. I don't think it's fair to point out one person not following the harassment policy personally, because the stuff said on Facebook is quite against the harassment policy from what I've seen. So just wanted to point that out. If you're going to call out one, don't just call out one. But I just wanted to also point out, I wasn't able to come to the last meeting to make some comments that I wanted to make, so this doesn't really have to do with today's agenda. But the Pike Street meeting, the one that Mr. Evans held, he sent me the email like I requested. And on the email, it stated that it was premature to do the meeting, not from Ms. McKee, not from other trustees, it was from the people that are working on this in the background. And a lot of questions weren't able to be answered because the meeting was premature. But one question that people were asking was how it was going to be, sorry, it's like how it was going to be finished after the church. And during our meeting with the CAC, they confirmed that they are in negotiations with the developers to get that done. For some reason, that couldn't be answered during the meeting, even though it's been mentioned in a previous trustee meeting, so I just wanted to make sure that people that may not have known that, know that. That's just for transparency. But that's all I have today. Thank you.
John Kennard, 10785 Palmer Road. I guess I'm just going to try and respond to all the negativism against farmers in Etna Township. They didn't want a super Walmart built here. They didn't want housing development built here. They don't want no more commercial warehouses built here. Now they're opposing solar farms and windmills. Farmers that don't want to farm or can't farm anymore, what are they supposed to do with their land? I propose or suggest that everybody that lives in Etna Township, unless you have lived in your house for 4 generations, you cannot sell it. We like the color of the house, we like living next to you, and whether your kids want to move into your house or their kids want to move into your house, forget it. You cannot do it. And that's what you're telling the farmers. If your kids don't want to take up farming, they want to go a different direction, forget it. You cannot do anything but farm your land. And that's what it's all coming up to be, it seems like here. Everybody seems to, on this side, be against 2 trustees and 1 trustee. They talk about transparency. Let's see his transparency. I'd love to see his definition on that. I just looked at that MS engineer study, $43,000. You guys want to approve $43,000 to do a bicycle and pedestrian study? Really? Thank you.
Public comments tonight? Okay, we'll move on to new business. Fiscal report, I'm going to put it towards the back. So, we want a consideration of the JEDZ appointment.
Don't we have to follow the order of the agenda as approved?
There's no such thing. I move Resolution 22-1004. So it's going to be 0? Okay. 01. Resolution appointing members to the Joint Economic Development Zone 2, which is the JEDZ Board under Section 1 to appoint Rosalind McKee, Nicole Washington, and Jeff Haygood for the term of October 20, 2022 to October 19, 2024. And Section 2, appointing Chuck LaRose, the alternate for the term of 10, which is October 20th, 2022 to October 19, 2024. Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion?
Yes. So we're going to continue the past inappropriate practice of the last board. When this board keeps saying, stop talking about it, that you're going to point yourself to these boards as the prior president did, without advertising, there's interest to serve from the community. Why would we not seek the best individuals to sit on these boards and advertise it? And this is continuing the past inappropriate practice. It's not transparent. You apparently have just chosen these people. This should be a joint effort from this board There's no input from me. I don't even get contacted to see if I can make special meetings. What is going on here? Again, we have interest from the community. This should be advertised and have people's resumes submitted, and we as a board go over and select the individuals, not one trustee taking the reins of this township from the past reign holder. So I move to table this and advertise these appointments to be considered at a future meeting, because there's no reason that this needs to be handled today, because there's no meetings coming up. They're quarterly, and we've got time to advertise these. So I move to table this and for seeking letters of interest and resumes.
So President McKee, there is a motion and a second.
No, I moved to table, and there's no, so there's got to be a vote. Robert's rules. So we have a vote.
No second? Okay.
So no second. All right.
Roll call.
Mr. Evans?
No.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
Wow. Are we going to appoint Ms. McKee to the
I'll
JEDD
move
boards?
over to Mr. Vance, who's considering improvement of the township.
All right, thank you. President McKee, I'll introduce this item. Consideration of approving an Etna Township Group VSP Renewal and adding a group accident plan and directing Township
Are we
Board of
doing JEDD
Trustees
boards or not?
President to execute OPEC Plan Number 6, VSP, benefit summary to increase benefits and reduce the monthly Etna Township group rate from $260.48 to $255.69.
Is there?
Make a motion of that?
Yes.
I'll make that motion.
Okay. Is there a second? I'll do a second. Discussion?
So is this going to change the plan for everybody in the township?
President McKee,
Is
this
there
is
just one plan?
President McKee, this is going to enhance the group plan.
Okay, and are you aware that per our prosecutor, that the public office or body chooses to secure new or enhanced benefits which exceed those currently provided, an incumbent elected official cannot avail himself of that increase? So we
$5.
cannot. So are you proposing that we, as part of that group, get these increased benefits? Because I think that's inappropriate, and our prosecutors even said so.
And President McKee, last comment I have is no plan is an absolute, so if any elected official would like to deny any benefit, it's my understanding they have the absolute right to do so, and I have no more comments.
No, they even say improve or reduce. You cannot vote to reduce the plan, or improve it. So that doesn't work, Mr. Vance. You can't vote for an increase and say you have to lose your benefits because you can't take them. That's a reduction. This is the law. So did anybody check with Frank Harmon to say that the trustees can be
Yes, we
excluded?
did. Let's let
Ms.
Mrs. Brown
McKee,
speak, please.
we spoke with Frank Harmon and he said this wouldn't affect that because I wanted to make sure.
That's
because
right.
of that.
Exactly. We made
And
it.
Frank Harmon said that
Yes.
this change would not affect
Right.
elected officials.
That's exactly right.
How, in what way, or can you forward that email? Because
Sure.
I have an email from the
There was a
prosecutor.
verbal conversation with Mr. Harmon, and he said this would not affect the elected officials.
But it increases the benefit, and our prosecutor even states it. And the one thing we need to get away from, I think, is all these verbal conversations, not documenting stuff. Because
I did not request it from Frank. He was on a phone conversation with Mr. Vance, and I interrupted the call because I was concerned about that. Because when we switched from the HSAs, Jeff and the fiscal officer at the time had to wait because they couldn't be on the plan because of what Mr. Evans is saying. And Frank Harmon assured us it would not affect the elected officials for what he's asking for right here.
Well, I sent this policy plan to our prosecutor, and he did say it would affect us.
So did the prosecutor respond to you, Mr. Evans?
Yes, I have the email, and he actually,
Well, I should say, what day did he
he
respond?
actually copied you and Mr.
Yeah, but what
Johnson.
day was that?
It was August 26th.
Okay. I saw that email, and we have spoke to Mr. Frank Harmon after that. So that's why we
So
reached out.
you're taking the legal advice of an insurance broker over our attorney?
No, that's not the case.
Okay.
And that's okay.
Yes, thank you.
McCall?
Okay, you want to go ahead and talk, you speak on the consideration for the neighborhood strategy?
Yeah, you have to.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Call for the
Roll
question.
call, got off.
Mr. Evans?
No.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes. Mr. Vance, would you like to speak on the strategies for the safe routes?
I will introduce it, yes. Consideration of neighborhood strategies, safe routes to school, planning grant application proposal. The first step in this process is to write a preliminary introductory letter introducing your concept to ODOT in advance of an application that's due in March of 2023. And the proposal is for $1,500 to help us not only with the letter of introduction, but also the application process. And President McKee, to have discussion, we would need a motion and a second.
Yes, sir. I would like to make a motion to consider neighborhood strategy safe routes to school planning grant application proposal. Is there a second?
Second.
Just
You copy it.
This is,
You have a moment. Probably need to put authorize, not consider.
authorize it, is that what you're saying?
You need
authorize.
to authorize the amount to neighborhood strategy. That would be my suggestion,
Just so you have it in your notes. Okay.
if you want to restate the motion.
Considering is different than authorizing.
Well, I will authorize neighborhood strategies, safe routes to school, planning grant application proposal.
And the amount is $1,500.
$1,500, is there a second?
I'll second it. That's your amended one, is that what you're saying?
Yes, we have to, yeah, I
Could you
have
please
to
speak into
authorize.
the microphones? We can't hear you, including the staff. It's part of the official record, please.
I'm sorry, was it 1,500?
1,500, yes. So, do you have the letter?
Yeah.
Julie?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So this is for $1,500, is a right letter to help us get application date for the
Process.
$25,000
Yes.
possible grant?
Yes.
Correct. And the $25,000 grant is a planning grant, would be a planning grant to help with a school travel plan, which you need if you're going to pursue. My last understanding of the Safe Route to School grant funds was an annual allocation not to exceed $400,000. That might have been increased to $500,000, but we need to go through the $25,000 planning grant application process first to confirm that.
All right, and while safe routes to school is important, I think we need to look bigger. We've got planned sidewalks to nowhere, bike paths to nowhere. This MS Consultants proposal that I've been trying to get on the agenda for over a month has been ignored and addresses safe routes to school, bike paths, sidewalks. Again, Pike Street, we've got bike paths that go nowhere. that some say we'll figure it out later. Even in the comprehensive plan meeting, Mr. Leonard said that we need a comprehensive transportation plan. Safe Routes to School is not that. So the MS Consultants Agreement would do that, would look at not only within Etna, but connecting to others. Do we want to allow residents to bike up to Pataskala and the new brew pubs and stuff up there and make it a nice, enjoyable area for our residents? And I think it's short-sighted again if we just look past that. MS Consultants would work in conjunction with Mr. Leonard and the comprehensive plan. Now's the time to do it when you're trying to figure everything out and not do the haphazard development and planning that we have been. And we shouldn't continue that. We can't just figure it out later. And I mean, we've been so delayed in everything. There was a Safe Streets and Roads for All grant for the U.S. Department of Transportation. Mr. Vance, this is my time. That I tried to get this in and for us to consider, but we missed the application on September 15th. We're missing opportunities and it's hurting this township. Now, if we're going to go with the Safe Routes to School, Mr. Leonard is already burdened with a lot of work. When he first proposed his work on the land plan committee, he said he'd take on one or maybe two other clients. He's taken on numerous more. He's acting as the unofficial administrator of St. Albans Township. He's overburdened, and we're not getting our progress on the comprehensive plan committee that we should. We haven't even got a survey out, and we're 4 meetings in, and developers are even saying what's going on.
Call for the question, please.
I'm sorry, I still have my time. 10 minutes, Robert's rules. You can't call for the question. You cannot call for the question.
Call for the question. Roll call, please.
No, Robert's rules, you cannot go to a vote when you call for the question. You cannot. Do you want me to pull it up?
I asked Ms.
I have 10 minutes per Robert's rules that we have adopted. I have not exhausted those 10 minutes, Ms. McKee. Do you want to continue to silence me?
I'm not trying to stop. You're getting off topic.
You are, no, this is exactly on the topic. And you don't control the topic of this. So I think it is a misjustice if we continue to be so short-sighted in our approach to everything. It's delay, 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 small-mindedness without looking at the big picture. Why wouldn't we want to spend some money and see what we want to do with the entire township while we're doing the comprehensive plan? That's smart. It's obvious who's run businesses here, who hasn't, who's critically thinking, who hasn't.
Roll call.
Mr. Evans?
No.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes. I move to call for a 6 p.m. October 18th special meeting for the Board of Trustees for the purpose of discussing the Licking County TID Refugee Road Phase 2 Intergovernmental Agreement. Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion.
How are we having a special meeting at a time when we have a regular meeting? Is my first question. We have a regular meeting scheduled October 18th at 6 p.m. Is the purpose of calling a special meeting to limit the public's comments again? If we wanted to address this, just put it on the agenda. I have never seen a board have consideration of an agenda item for a future meeting. That's that's uncalled for. What's the purpose of it? And we've entered into a memorandum of understanding and an intergovernmental agreement, one with Pataskala. Hundreds of thousands of dollars have been spent. We're trying to work together with Pataskala as a partner, and there's all these demands that make no sense delaying this. They were supposed to start right-of-way acquisition September 15th. That's delayed again. Delay, 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 delay. That's all we see from this board. And to delay it again of October 18th, why wouldn't we have addressed this today? Even Mr. Johnson said he would ask for it to be on the agenda, then he went back on it. Doesn't this board have any guts to just vote yes or no on something? Do you want to kill this by attrition of just delaying it until Pataskala says no? I mean, Ms. McKee, you voted for this to go forward, so how do you pull out when we need to move forward? When we get IGA 2, are you going to pull out at IGA 3?
Get pulled out.
This is not a way to work with partners, and we're becoming the laughingstock. Nobody's going to trust Etna Township to do any kind of agreement with, especially the TID. When granting agent, if this falls through and granting agencies have to claw back money or something, that is going to be remembered next time. And we have to stop playing these games. So I don't understand, I don't think legally we can have a special meeting during our regular meeting time. So why don't you just put it on the regular meeting? So I make a motion to add Refugee Road IGA 2 to the regular meeting on October 18th, 6 p.m.
So we've got a motion and a second.
No, we have my motion, I'm waiting for a second. And we have individuals from the TID, Mr. Lozier, and the developer, Jeb Breeze here, that maybe can comment on this. About the difficulty they've been having, the delays.
Mrs. McKee, what was your response?
I mean, I've seen a flurry of letters to Pataskala that are just
On the floor.
unfounded.
We have a motion on the floor.
Again, legally, I don't think we can have a special meeting during our regular meeting. Our regular meetings are...
And President McKee, we don't have to argue with a trustee to call a special meeting.
But what's the purpose of a special meeting?
Purpose.
To quiet to shut up the residents so they can't
That's
speak
not
of
true. There
anything
you go,
else?
making that up. It's to discuss a big project. That's what it's for.
You could do that at a regular meeting.
It's a work session.
You could do a work session, you could do a regular meeting, you can discuss anything for any amount of time. We've proved it, we've gone to 11 o'clock.
So is a motion on the floor?
There's a motion on the floor.
Has it received a second?
His second. The one.
Well, obviously, that died.
Died, yes. So the motion,
And I will require those to be in the minutes.
yeah, so the motion is to have a special meeting on October 18th, 6 p.m.
Yep.
And it's got a second.
No, it doesn't have a second.
Yeah, well, I was in the bathroom.
The first.
On that.
Well, we had discussion, I didn't have a second, I didn't second.
Yeah. Initially, there was a motion to have a special meeting on October 18th.
Right.
Trustee Johnson gave it a second so we could have discussion. Trustee Evans had a lot of comments, attempted to change the motion, it died for lack of a second, so now we're back to the original special meeting on October
Right,
18th.
so now we need to do roll call.
For a special meeting during a regular meeting time, that makes no sense.
For a special
Roll call,
meeting.
Ms. Varian, please.
Mr. Evans?
No,
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
I think we're in legal jeopardy if we do that.
You know what? When do we get to say
We'll
no? When do
move on.
we get to say no?
Excuse
I
me?
voted for you, I voted for
Excuse
you, and
me?
I voted for you. When do I get to say no? I am sick of this every month. Period.
I move resolution 22-10040. Resolution number 202, because the other one's 01. Resolution appointing members to the Joint Economic Development District Boards under Section 1. JEDD 1 appointing Nicole Washington to JEDD 1 Position 3 for the term 8/30/2022 to 8/29/2026 under Section 2. JEDD 2 appointing Nicole Washington to JEDD 2 Position 3 for term 8/21/2021 to 8/20/2025, appointing Rosalind McKee to JEDD 2 Position 4 from the term 8/21/22 to 8/20/2026. Under Section 3, JED 3 appointing Nicole Washington to JED 3 Position 3 for the term 8/21/2021 to 8/20/2025, appointing Rosalind McKee to JED 3 Position 4 for the term 8/2021 to 8/20/22 to 8/20/2026. Under Section 4, JED 4 appointing Rosalind McKee to JED 4 Position 2 for the term 8/30/2021 to 8/29 to 8/20/25, and Nicole Washington to JED 4 Position 3 for the term 8/30/2022 to 8/29/2026. Under Section 5, JED 7 appointing Rosalind McKee to JED 7 Position 4 for the term 8/31/2021 to 8/30/2025. Is there a second?
No.
Second.
This is consideration.
And aren't these
Discussion.
compensated boards?
Discussion?
That's what I'm asking. Aren't these compensated boards at $100 a meeting? So with 5 JEDs, if all of them are compensated, I don't think they all are, but is that like $300 to $400 that you would be getting for appointing yourself to this? I think that's inappropriate. The last board did the same thing. Board President John Carlisle appointed himself and his friends without advertising, without input. I don't even know who Nicole Washington is. What are her qualifications? I mean, you haven't even shared that with the board, the resume and that. You want to dictate what goes on in this township and who's on these boards, just like Mr. Carlisle did. You're following in his footsteps, and the residents did not vote for that in November. And we need to get away from this. This, again, should be advertised. There's been several residents that have expressed interest in that. But yet again, Ms. McKee, you want to appoint yourself and compensate yourself on these boards. That's inappropriate. We have many people in this community that can serve. Let them. So I move to table this and advertise it and seek members from the community to serve on these JED boards.
Is there a second?
You are such a woman.
So call for the
Just
question.
call it, yeah. That's inappropriate to call a person a name like that.
A when?
Deputy?
Yeah, that's name calling. Don't do that here, please.
Okay. So
Please.
Here's where we're at.
Please.
You either say nice things, which you're gonna get a lot of times that you're supposed to, or I can ask her and I can have it escorted out of here, okay?
Deputy, I'd just like to say it's got to be,
Nice things. I said nice things.
Deputy, I just want to remind you that it's got to be a board decision. It's not up to
That's
Mr.
not
Key
true, Mr. Evans.
no, it does have to be.
I was advised it would come down to the president's decision.
It's actually a board decision.
No, it's the president's decision. Okay?
Okay, sorry.
Again, it's
Call for the question.
Call for the question.
Mr. Evans?
dictator.
Mr. Evans?
Call for the question.
No.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
It's a dictatorship.
I turn the meeting over to Mr. Tim Bubb to present information on the Palmer Energy Aggregation Program. Mr. Bubb, would you please like to come up to the podium? Thank you.
Get you in 5 minutes early.
Thank you. I'm glad I came 5 minutes early. Good evening,
Hi, Mr. Bubb.
Jeff, Rosalind.
Hi there.
Madam Chair, thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. My name is Tim Bubb. I'm one of your 3 Licking County Commissioners. With the exception of maybe a couple of folks here from Franklin County, I represent all of you and the 180,000 people of Licking County, along with my fellow commissioners, Wayne Flowers and Rick Black, and we represent you, the trustees, as well. My purpose in coming and visiting with you for just a moment, sharing some information, is really on the topic of aggregation and how it can benefit. And in fact, it's something that maybe we all can agree on. Aggregation is an opportunity for communities to decide to buy their fuel on the open market, electricity and natural gas. People of Etna Township several years ago chose to aggregate. And you've been in an aggregation program, and that's fine. And I think you're in an aggregation contract until maybe second quarter of next year. I would urge the board to simply take that into consideration, that there are always lots of aggregation options out there, and that some are better than others. Let me share with you for just a moment what we at the county government have done in terms of aggregation. And my purpose in sharing this simply is to, that you can appreciate that there are lots of options and ways to approach this. And the ultimate goal always is to get the very best deal for the residential customers and the small business customers of Licking County in this case, and in this case, Etna Township. In other words, to save you money. That's the goal. We in the county government have been aggregating for about a decade. All of our major buildings, things like jails, water plants, township or county administration buildings, that sort of thing. We have joined under the umbrella of Palmer Energy with about 66 or so other counties in Ohio, a majority of the counties of Ohio, in aggregating to save you money in terms of our utility bills, natural gas and electric. And honestly, I've been doing this now for about 10 years. We've been with Palmer. We've done a number of aggregation contracts. And frankly, we've saved you all tens of thousands of dollars in natural gas costs and electric costs in our major buildings here in the county, and millions of dollars across the state of Ohio. So we are not unfamiliar with the topic of electric and natural gas aggregation. You are blessed in Etna Township, along with 3 other townships and a village, in already having had aggregation in place. At various times, those communities have voted to aggregate. You've had more than one aggregation contract, and my assumption is that it's produced well. 2 of the trustees are relatively new here, but I assume you've all done your research and you know whether that has been productive for you or not. I know you're kind of in a period where you're at the end of your contract term in terms of aggregation, and then maybe in natural gas, maybe the vendor that in the open market you negotiated with may have had some financial problems, and you may be on the utility rate now, which is not necessarily advantageous, but you have to do what you have to do. But now is probably an excellent time for the trustees to consider your many options in terms of aggregation, in terms of, frankly, saving the people of Etna Township money and getting the best deal you can for Etna Township. Just a point of explanation then, beyond the fact that we as county government join governments across Ohio in aggregating big buildings, there's also the option to do residential and small business. And we decided that if 4 townships, including Etna in Licking County, were aggregating, that maybe more folks could benefit and join the party. So in May of this year, on the primary ballot, 7 municipalities in Licking County won the ballot. 6 of them approved aggregation to join the party. They are the county seat of Licking County, the city of Newark, with about 50,000 people. The city of Heath, the 2nd largest city, joined. The new city of Johnstown, it was a village, just went to city status when it popped 5,000. Also, 3 of the substantial villages in the county, including St. Louisville, Hanover, and Alexandria, voted to join. And Pataskala was very close, and we may try that again. And to be honest with you, I'm hearing from other townships and communities in Licking County showing interest in aggregation. Why? Well, you can save money on fuel. In other words, American Electric Power and Columbia Gas, in this case, almost across Licking County, is going to be your delivery source and will continue to be your delivery source for electric and natural gas. But you can buy, if you choose to aggregate and you're approved by the PUCO, you can buy your fuel on the open market under contract. You can buy cubic feet of natural gas, you can buy kilowatts of electricity. It is unfortunate at the moment that with the war in Ukraine and national or international energy markets a bit royal right now because of the crisis in the globe and the problem of redirecting energy to Europe and things like that, that at the moment it's not necessarily a good time to buy energy on the open market simply because people are holding their bets. It probably will be next year before we can get back in a competitive situation to save people money. But the advantage is to lock in the open market prices less than what is offered by the utility, and that's the advantage of aggregation, that your fuel costs go down, and that means your utility costs go down. You got a nice ring, by the way. And we can make that happen. And we're going to make that happen in Licking County. Those 6 municipalities I told you about are under the county government umbrella. We did it to be very direct. It's still ringing. And we did that under the county umbrella so that we can do one set of paperwork for 6 municipalities. That's simple. And right now, our request for Licking County, about 80,000 people, about 40,000 homes is in front of the PUCO, the Public Utilities Commission. We expect that to be approved shortly. And we will be, as county government, on behalf of those 80,000 people and those 6 municipalities, in the market to look to buy them electric and gas on the open market, fuel cost at a discounted rate. We'll get that done. We're not going to do a bad deal. We'll do the right deal when the deal is there for us. Why am I sharing this with you? I just want you to know that we're in this business too, your county government. We are you. Etna Township, you fly our flag outside. The Licking County flag is out there. You're one of 26 great townships in Licking County. And I believe at some point that almost all the townships and municipalities in this county will be aggregating. The thought is at some point aggregation will probably be statewide. Why? Well, why not? You can go into the open market, and if you can competitively buy your fuel costs cheaper, you save people money. You leave money on the table here in Etna Township, as well as in Newark Heath and all the places that have aggregation. So I want you to appreciate the fact that as you think about your contract expiring in Etna Township, look at your options. I will tell you this, and I can tell you this, and I have John Lights with me, this young gentleman in the red from CCAO, the County Commissioners Association of Ohio, and Phil Dysart, who is with Palmer Energy. They came here tonight just to answer any questions, if you have any. If not, understand. But they're here as an information resource to back me up. I don't claim to be an expert in aggregation, but I'm a public official, as you are, and the goal is to do the right thing for the people. So that said, that's why I'm standing here. You should take a look at all your options. But I can tell you this, the folks that we've been working with for a decade with Palmer Energy, based up in Toledo and in Columbus, and across the state, they've been doing this for years. They are the only aggregating company that is authorized to represent these programs by both the Ohio Municipal League, that's all the cities, big and small, and the County Commissioners Association of Ohio, and that's all 88 counties. Their track record is impeccable. All I can tell you, I know this for a fact, is that not everyone out there who's on the 1-800 number and represents aggregation is necessarily working in your favor. There are plenty of groups out there that would say, well, you've authorized aggregation in Etna, boy, have we got a deal for you. Well, I'm telling you, when you hear the words, boy, I got a deal for you, or I can save you lots of money, be wary. Because not everyone is, well, enough said, you get it. So that's it. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm sharing with you folks who live here. That's why I'm sharing with your trustees. Your county government aggregates its own load, and we're very successful at it. We work with these folks because they work across Ohio doing this for governments large and small, including counties. I'm not here to make a sales presentation. If you want to talk to these folks, if you want to talk to Palmer, if you want them to make you a presentation next year on aggregation and what they can do for you, how they can benefit this township, how they can save you possibly some more money in the market, how they can work for maybe a little bit less per customer in terms of serving, I'm sure they'll be glad to do it because they're in that business. Your county government doesn't get 1 penny from aggregation. We save money by aggregating our own load, which is your money because you taxpayers pay the bills for electric and gas for county buildings. So we do save you money. But in terms of aggregation as a program for the communities, the townships, villages, and cities, our goal is not to make money. We don't get a penny for that. Our goal is to save you money. And if there is money to be saved, it should be in your pocket. And that's our only interest in that. So, Madam Chair, that's really what I wanted to share with you. Again, Mr. Lights and Mr. Dicer are here. If any of you have any questions about aggregation, the county plan as we currently have it implemented and are working toward that, or what the possibilities are in terms of aggregation, and what your options are as trustees going forward into next year as you think about maybe continuing your aggregation contract. You don't have to bring aggregation back to the voters. The voters have certified aggregation for this township. It's up to you, all of us as public officials, to get the best deal for the people that live here. So that's it. Thank you for your opportunity to give me the opportunity to speak to you. Do you have any questions, or can I be of any help to you?
I do have some questions for the individuals.
Please.
The aggregate, Mr. Dicer, is it?
Yes.
What's your first name?
Phil.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm bad on names. Your company, what kind of contracts do you usually require for your aggregation terms?
So usually, like several of the other consultants out there, we're looking at, we usually present 12-month, 24-month, 36-month for the aggregation programs. So you're looking somewhere in that deal. I think, John, you could speak to what the county agreement is.
So you go by whatever the aggregation term is. You don't have an outside contract that's even longer than the aggregation terms, correct?
If I could, thank you,
Yeah.
Madam Chair. I'm John Lights, Assistant Director of the County Commissioners Association, Ohio. And in essence, we run in our service corporation the CCO Energy Program. So we established this program over 10 years ago. Palmer Energy and Phil actually work for us, the County Commissioners Association. And we went through an extensive process of vetting potential supplier aggregators for us, and we have a long-term contract with Palmer Energy to serve as our consultant. The key distinction we bring to the table is that you control your own program. We do not take a situation where we say, here's our offer, we put it out to bid, we collect the appropriate data as far as load and that type of thing. Palmer prepares the documentations, puts it out to bid, and then they bring back to you the actual total results. And as Phil said, generally speaking, when we go out for requests or proposals, we end up asking for a 12, a 24, and a 36-month contract period. And of course, it's surveyed over all of the current participants in the marketplace. We usually send it out to 12, 13, 14, 15 different suppliers and get their best offers back and bring them to you to make that decision. The other important distinction, I think, in our program, which basically is, the Commissioners Association is an umbrella program, is that when we're taking your load to the marketplace, we're also taking other loads to the marketplace. So you get the benefit of the consolidation of your residents plus those other ones that we're taking to the marketplace. And currently we basically get independent bids back across the whole list of supply that's out there at that time. So there might be 8, 9, 10 different communities out there. The suppliers look at the total load, realizing that they have the potential to pick up the total load as a customer, and then break it down independently between each of the individual political subdivisions. We do that for electricity. For gas, we basically pool it, and we put most of our load out all at one time, and we basically do hedging and that type of stuff to try to get the best price. But basically, Palmer Energy works for us, and we govern the terms of how they proceed based on an energy program with the County Commissioners Association, which we have dovetailed in with the Ohio Municipal League now, and we're working together on it, and basically have a management committee of commissioners and basic facility managers in some of our counties that sit on our governing board and help advise us and help give Palmer directions. That's how we work.
Okay, I could definitely see having a bigger pool, you get
Yes.
more savings. That one of the things I'm concerned, our current aggregator, the contract's not up until May 23rd, 2023, and they're trying to lock us into a 5-year contract with them when aggregation terms are 2 or 3 years. I spoke to other aggregators, and their contract is only that aggregation contract, and I'm concerned that there's an overlap. We're still operating under our 2013 contract because each of those aggregation terms have just extended that contract by a year, by 2, by 3, you can never get out of it without just sitting there for a year or 2 without having residents in there. So that's where I think we need to look elsewhere, Palmer or other aggregators that aren't going to require us to be in a 5-year contract. And then also the fees. Are you transparent about your fees? What are your fees for gas and electric?
I can tell you that basically for electricity in an aggregation program, it's 0.00045 or 4,500 cents per kilowatt hour. And for gas, it's
natural gas
it's a little
is
bit
5 cents per MCF.
Million cubic feet.
So what would that be per CCF?
CCF, it'd be, yeah, you move the decimal over, so it'd be the 005 there for it.
Okay, because right now we're paying for electricity, the fee is 0.002, which is incredibly higher.
That is higher.
That's 5 times higher.
Considerably higher.
Than their fee, and our current, they're obligated under, not to get minutiae, but obligated to that fee in the contract, and they're not even providing if they've been charging that fee. So I've got concerns about transparency. I'm glad you're very upfront with your fees, as I think anybody we do business with should be. And I think this is a great opportunity that we should look at, because if we can pool our residents with the county and get even more savings, and you're transparent, and you don't require contracts outside those, the aggregation terms, I think it's a win-win. And we can even talk to other aggregators. There's 2 others that want to come in and do presentations. So I think we should get more information and not move forward with that contract extension that's been being pushed through.
It's a competitive market, there's no question. I think you would want to scratch your head before I'd lock into a 5-year deal when you can only extend energy out 3 years. What you're doing, you're locking yourself into a never-ending deal. So just keep that in mind, that you don't have to do that. It's your contract as well as that company's contract, and we all know any contract is subject to negotiation, and it's incumbent upon all of you, just as it is for us at Licking County, to negotiate the best deal for our entity and for the people. And you are correct, trustee, that the more the merrier. If you can join a larger group, then you have much more leverage in the open marketplace to leverage even a better rate for the people that use the gas and use the electric. And I would give you one point just to keep in mind also, that the only people who are excluded from this and excluded from our plan are people who are in the energy cooperative, and that's the rural cooperatives. They already have the ability to negotiate rates on the open market, and they do that. So if you have the energy co-op, either for gas or electric, one or both, as an example, I live in the city of Heath. I'm an AEP power customer. This would affect me. I'm an energy co-op gas customer, so it would not. So it doesn't affect everyone, but it affects the majority of people in Licking County. And I would suggest that, except for some of the maybe the very rural residents of Etna, that most would be affected and could benefit by a better deal. We're not here to twist your arm, but we know that this is something that you've had a chance to debate and talk about a little bit, and I think that's exactly appropriate, because you should be very critical. You should be looking at what's the best deal and talk to folks. But I can tell you from experience, as your county commissioner who has no skin in the game, and county government gets nothing from this other than we're trying to get a good deal. These are folks that you're really going to want to talk with as you come down to the nit in terms of next year's contract, because if you're not taking a look, you could be missing a tremendous opportunity.
And especially what I just calculated, is 4.44 times the fees for electric that our current aggregators charging our customers. And I think we have a fiduciary responsibility to get the best we can for our residents. So we shouldn't extend anything, especially the gas. I know we don't have the gas because they chose volunteer energy and the scheme that they were doing that was risky and it didn't pay off. So I don't think this board should extend anything past the May 23rd, 2023, and we should look at all providers. If Treble's the best, then so be it, but I don't think that's appropriate, especially after speaking to many other aggregators and what they just said.
So
So
volunteer was a tremendous failure. They cost a lot of people. You have to be very careful because competitive market, and just like with any other 1-800 good deal out there, everybody's got a good deal. And the more you put it out there, you could have a line out that front door of people saying, I've got a good deal for you. So just be very selective and very thoughtful. And you want to deal with someone who has a track record that is verifiable and not just someone who's coming in and saying, I got a deal for you. But verifiable, verify, and get the best deal and lock it in for the appropriate time period at the best available rate, and don't allow yourself to get back into a corner in terms of a bad deal. You know, that's almost one-on-one. Come on.
And I would ask that we have a special meeting for workshop for Palmer Energy to come in and other aggregators to speak to the board so we can make a decision moving forward. The prosecutors said that we can talk to anybody we want about the future contract, so I think we should do that. And I appreciate Palmer Energy and you, Commissioner, being here. I know your time's, busy, so we appreciate the input.
It's never too busy to help the people of Etna Township, whether it's on economic development or any number of things. We'll be here as much as you want us to help because we're all in it together. And I had an opportunity to speak to each one of the trustees, and I want you to know they were all very open to the options and what the possibilities are. And that's why I appreciate the President allowing us to be on the agenda tonight at 7, because I think all the trustees have a very open mind toward this. And in our discussion, my impression was everybody, let's get the best deal for the people who live here. So thank you all very much.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Thank you too, Mr.
And then on that, I'd like to, regarding the energy, I move pursuant to our current contract with Treble Energy, Section 6A, the board requests and receive from Treble Energy a copy of all fee rates charged and compensation received for the Etna Township electric and gas aggregation terms since the initial 2013 contract to ensure compliance with the stated fee limitation of 0.0020 kilowatts per hour for electric and 0.005 CCF of natural gas. I believe that's important to have that information and know that they've complied with that contract if we're going to consider renewing their contract. I've made those requests from them and they've refused to provide that information, and they said it must be a board action. So I'm requesting that board action to get information. We were talking about transparency. I think we should get their fees charged.
And President McKee, I would request or recommend that Trustee Evans.
I made a motion.
Well, if you don't want my comments, then I'll just wait to see if there's a second.
So what exactly are you asking for? You later, you paragraph, so summarize it very short.
I'm asking Treble Energy to provide us with the fees that they charged for each of the aggregation terms since our initial contract. That initial contract required them a specific fee, which is 4.4 times the industry average.
So you're asking us
Asking
to provide what we already have a contract with them in the past, so we should have that information here.
We don't know. Treble Energy is refusing to provide that information. In their new contract, they claim that their fee is proprietary and it won't be released. And that we need to be transparent about it.
We don't know what their fee is what you're asking for, because we don't know, it's not part of our contract.
We don't know if they've been charging more than the contracted fee or not, and per their contract, they're supposed to provide records. I've asked for those records numerous times. They've refused to provide that. They've come back and said the board has to request that. So I'm requesting of the board that we as a board ask Treble to provide those fees that they've charged to make sure that they haven't charged more, because if we are going to consider at all them extending the contract, we should know their fees. So this is about being transparent. It's a red flag that they won't just automatically state it. They won't automatically state it in the proposed new contract. Every other aggregator is upfront and says our fees are this and our fees are that. So it's a red flag that they're not disclosing that fee. So I just want the board to request this officially so that they provide it. And I think that's reasonable, and it should be a no-brainer. If I was the vendor, I would have provided it without question, because you gotta be transparent, they don't want to be. So it requires board action, apparently, to enforce the contract terms.
So you
And that's
got a
all I'm
motion?
asking for.
You got a motion?
That's what I said.
Okay, somebody, is there a second? I'll second. Discussion?
So we don't, I guess, so our current contract doesn't have that fees on it, is that correct?
No,
You're saying
current contract, we're operating under the 2013 contract. And that's been discussed with our attorney, their attorney, because again, they've been fighting.
But their fees aren't disclosed in the contract, is what you're saying?
No, it is disclosed in the contract.
So
What I'm saying is they have not been willing to provide what fees they have been charging. There's been successive aggregation terms. Now they negotiate, and what was a red flag with their new proposal is their fee is a secret between the energy supplier and them. Only they know. That's wrong.
was it supposed to show up on our bill, on our customer's bill?
No, because it's within the negotiated rate with those suppliers, but they will only suppliers agreeing to the administrative fee will become eligible bidders. So they could say, we want 20 times the amount. And they're contractually obligated to this amount.
Wouldn't that inflate their price so much that it wouldn't be a good bid, it wouldn't be a little bit then?
But it's a low bid amongst their bidders. They're getting their fee whatever.
So if we have other companies come in, they'll be definitely lower because their fees will be lower, correct?
Correct, but they're not disclosing their fees. And what I'm saying is if we're even going to consider them, we need to know that they performed per their contract, and they wouldn't answer that simple question. And even the two presentations they made here refused to answer the fee question, and in their proposal, it's proprietary, it's secret. I just asked Palmer, and they rattled it off. I asked two others, they rattled it off. Anybody transparent and willing to work with you should be able to say, this is my fee.
Well, if they have a lower price, wouldn't you want to go with the lower price?
Well, shouldn't you know that fee? If they could get that lower price,
It's a lower.
if their fee's lower, they could get that lower
Even
price.
if I'm paying 10 cents for whatever and somebody else is going to charge me 11, I think I'd go with the 10.
Right, well, we're picking an aggregator, then they go get bidders, so you're already stuck with them. So you want somebody with the lowest overhead cost.
I don't see how we're, I'm just confused about why they give us a price, right? They give us the best price from their bidders, right?
Yeah, we select them, and then they go out, they tack their fee onto whatever that bidder
Yes.
says, and then they choose the lowest. That might not be the lowest that another company could have given, because, again, Treble's rates are 4.4 times higher, and that's being charged to all the customers. So you can't.
I don't see it on my bill though. I'm saying, where am I
Right,
seeing
because
that?
it's negotiating the fee, they tack it on at the supplier.
So it's a supplier price, right? So why wouldn't you go with the lowest supplier price rather they're charging us 20 times their fee if they got the low supplier's price that low?
Because you don't get the bids until you get that aggregator. What I'm saying is, all I want to know is, have they been living by the contract the last 9 years? And it should be as simple, they should have provided it, they don't want to.
We're with, who is it, Plumbing Gas now, right?
No,
Because-
their fee is tacked
fee.
on, it's like a commission.
So we're still paying the fee on Plumbing Gas, not because, or whoever else, right, correct?
No, because it's back to the utility.
That's what I'm saying. it's back
All I'm
to
saying
utilities.
is, I want them, this should be a simple thing, have they been charging the fee that they're obligated to in the contract? They refuse to, that's a red flag to me, so I would just like to verify, doing our due diligence. Its information is being transparent, so I hope this board would vote yes to get this information, push it back.
I don't see what it matters.
President, whenever appropriate, President McKee, I would request that if it's not inappropriate associated with sunshine laws, I would request that Trustee Evans provide us his correspondence between him and Treble. Let's get their feedback.
I've copied the board. And
I didn't interrupt you, sir. Please just let me finish my thought. We're going to be going through an RFP process. I don't know how much experience Trustee Evans has with illegal negotiations associated with aggregation programs. But I would request, or I will request, if I get the opportunity, that we seek some additional assistance to help us with an RFP process. And I'm not saying at this point in time I'm against anything he's proposing. I'm just saying to get those proposals cold with no documents that you can review, with no legal assistance, and we start, probing into an existing contract, I think it needs a little review before we take any official steps as a board of trustees.
I've copied this board on every communication with Treble, and you have the information, and like I said, all it is asking what fee have you charged, and they've refused to on both times they've spoken here. That's a big red flag, Mr. Vance. I've dealt with many contracts, many vendors, and that I've never dealt with anybody so hesitant to say what their fees are, especially when it's explicit in the contract. What they should have said is, our fees are what are in the contract, and that's what we've been charging. If they've been charging more, our residents are due a refund.
And President McKee, nobody is arguing, I'm not arguing those points. I'm saying let's just take it a step at a time.
And this is the first step to get the information.
And my recommendation to the other two trustees is before they take official action without reviewing any documents at tonight's meeting, to seek some consultation.
You've been copied with our prosecutor.
The contract expires in early 23. We have time. Everything's not an emergency. We have time to do our due diligence.
If this board is going to put on hold this because behind the scenes, their contract was being pushed through. I've got the changes
now
from the last one. But I don't understand. All this is asking for is being transparent. This board is fully aware of what I've been asking for, and Treble's been denying it. I've asked in the meeting here. So this is very basic. And if you don't want the transparency from a vendor, I don't know what to say.
President McKee, once again, just because it's said at a public meeting does not mean it's true. And I have several examples of that. It seems like every Etna Township meeting I come to from a certain individual. We would like to have discussion. We would like to have debate, but we get sick of arguing all the time, and these individuals at this table have the responsibility to get township business done. And if they're trying to get township business done with individuals who potentially want to sabotage, utilize a minutia that has nothing to do with the topic at hand to cause delay, to cause chaos, they have to take matters into their own hands. And with this situation, I'm not saying you're making undue points. All I'm recommending is that we get some documentation to review, we get professional assistance. You're interrupting me. Well, the contract does not run out until May of 2023. Everything does not have to be done yesterday if it's not due for another 6 months. We have big issues, we have big responsibilities, we have big goals that we're trying to get accomplished, and if you tackle 100 different things all at the same time, you're going to fail at every one of them. We have made a lot of progress in the last few months, and I would like to see it continue.
We've made no
progress. That is your opinion, and I disagree with it.
And like I said, my concern is all the activity behind the scenes, all the activity behind the scenes to push for this 5-year contract extension is what had me worried.
That is completely untrue. And President McKee, I believe it's time for the fiscal
report.
No, wait, excuse me, there's a motion on the floor.
Mark
Yeah,
made the
I did
motion,
second it.
Roslyn seconded it.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
No.
Ms. McKee?
No.
No transparency.
And we're going to move on to the fiscal report. Make a motion to approve the check registry as submitted by fiscal officer, Ms. Julie Varian. There's no report. Take that off. Resolution to approve the purchase orders.
You can verify that later, but I think are they 3 and 4?
Yeah.
Okay. 0403, transfer of funds and amend the 2022 appropriation.
I thought we were doing purchase order.
Oh, sorry. Resolution 22-10-04-04, whereas it is recommended as Etna Township Fiscal Officer that open purchase orders for the township be reviewed and restructured, and certain money has previously been appropriated for the accordance of the fiscal year 2022 budget.
So it's these three purchase orders right here?
Yes.
Second.
Mr. Evans? Do you want discussion or do you want to roll call?
Discussion?
I don't have anything already discussed.
Okay. Roll call?
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes. Oh, just before we move on, you said you were going to put a check in there for the credit card. Is that still the case?
It's in there, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
Okay, so 04 was purchase orders, we have to do 03 for
Resolution.
the transfer of funds.
Yes.
Please.
So resolution 22-10-0403, transfer of funds and amend the 2022 appropriation. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes. Trustee comments?
We have a motion to pay bills.
Motion.
President
Yes,
McKee,
sir.
when appropriate. So the motion to pay bills, do we have a list of checks to
Well-
approve before you pay the bills?
Well, this is one of the discussions that I wanted to make clear, that we have checks in there to pay, which we will, but the credit card, which she took care of that, the credit card was paid earlier today, before we were able to review it. So she pulled that back, so we're going to be paying it by a check.
So the trustees have an opportunity to look at the checks before they
Correct.
sign?
Correct.
Okay.
That's why we had moved forward to pay the motion to pay the bill.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So we're moving away from electronic payments
For
to
now,
paper
that
payments.
we did that a couple meetings ago. Yeah, we'll do that for now.
For everything, or how am I supposed to?
Well,
Our employee is going to
It
be
depends on what the
checks?
board wants to do. It's not up to me, it's up to the board. But we're going to review the check.
Well, it's been a little inconsistent because you say that you have to sign all the checks and nothing can be electronic, like the credit card that she had to reverse.
Well, let me just give
Yet
you-
we have electronic payment for employees and trustees, we have electronic payment for taxes. There's so much inconsistency on this board because of control,
Well,
it's ridiculous.
It's not about control, it's about paying attention where the money's being spent. Exactly, for example, you purchased a Zoom software that we didn't even approve on your credit card.
Correct, because I have authority under the January 4th organizational meeting up to $2,500 for expenses between meetings, emergencies, not just emergencies, like you said and claimed. That's the same way that you got a portalet out there for the park. That wasn't board approved.
Oh,
That was,
that's it out there?
you ordered that.
That's not true, Mr. Evans. That Port of John has been out there for many, many years. And it's, and we.
It hasn't been out there for, it was delivered.
Yeah, and they take it back and bring it back because of the weather. They don't leave it out.
So we have a contract with them
Yeah,
for
wait,
years?
Well, we're not going to divert from.
You contacted them and haven't had it delivered.
We're not going to.
Which you have the authority to.
Zoom is free. You didn't have to spend $160. So I'm not going to.
Zoom is not?
Zoom is free, Mr. Evans.
For
Zoom is free.
limited time.
No, it's not. I've had Zoom for many years.
Your personal cell phone is
So we have
Zoom is-
a motion to pay the
Let's move
bills.
on. Let's move on. Let's make a motion to pay the bills, please.
I'll make that motion.
Second. I'll second it.
And
Roll call.
discussion. I know regarding paying bills and that, I see a lot of things coming from outside counsel, Grotius and Briggs. When our attorney is the prosecutor, which is free, we hired Grotius and Briggs to deal with economic development in place of Albers and Albers. But Ms. McKee, you've been going to them for quite a bit of work. outside that scope, and I'm wondering why the prosecutor isn't being used when that is service provided to us at no cost, where we're now paying for that fee with Brochus and Griggs, and then additionally for bills, the NCA bills are getting outrageous. The legal fees at $6.95 an hour. I think there was a bill for like $23,000.
Well, we're not doing anything with NCA bills. We haven't touched NCA bills. As a board, we have not, they haven't had a meeting.
We had one come through just
That
as...
was not from us. We did not.
Well, my question is, why are you going to outside counsel that's
First of
costing the
all, I've
township?
never been to KIP, which is the NCA board. Second of all, if you want to know why with outside counsel, because a prosecutor, when you interfere, and Mrs. Viren interfered in a contract that we had with Dynamic Networks, and we have a prosecutor which he cannot represent her and us, so we had to go to outside counsel. When you guys sent a letter to our consultant, our contract, interfere with a contract to get into our email here in the employees' emails, that was inappropriate. Which we passed. No, we made it clear.
You mean the prosecutor that said we have the right to
No, the prosecutor
that
never
access?
said that.
I
Never
have that
said
email.
that. Never said that. So we're going to let it go because it's something that shouldn't have never happened.
I have that email.
You wouldn't.
Let's,
Mark, be honest.
You even want...
You say that a lot and you give that little grin, it's not going to work. Okay?
Okay.
You had no right, Mr.
I'll post it
Varian
tonight.
had no right. Fine, do what you have to do. That's perfect. I hope you do. But Ms. Varian had no right to go in from the back door through our
So you're waiving attorney-client privilege, and I can
go
post that.
into these individuals' emails. Okay? That was unethical, and so that's why we hired the attorney.
No.
Yes, it was. It was
Maybe
unethical.
people,
And send it directly
maybe
to
people
the...
would reply to
You
records
sent it
requests.
directly to the contractor instead of sending it to the board. That was inappropriate. So, there you go.
We're moving backwards as a township.
but President McKee, this is, somewhat of an example of what I was talking about previously. I think everybody wants to achieve good things on behalf of Etna Township, just whatever the dynamics at times, we cannot have productive conversations. And do we need to pay the bills tonight? Fiscal Officer, Varian, have we had the vote?
So we paid bills, yeah, we did.
Call roll.
Yeah, roll call.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes. I make a motion to adjourn.
We've got trustee comments and announcements on the
We
agenda.
did that, we just did that.
No, we didn't. That was motion to bill, no, excuse me, out of order. We have trustee comments, and that was approved by this board.
Roll call, Ms. Varian?
It's inappropriate. Trustee comments, so my comments are, I've got 3 minutes
Ms. Varian, roll call,
per the
please.
approved agenda.
Ms. Varian, roll call, please.
So I would like to know where the updates are for the union contract that Ms. McKee has not provided this board since the beginning of this year.
Ms. Varian?
NCA, soaring legal bills and past due, no update whatsoever. The Mink Street lawsuit, not one update. The Development Committee, not one update. You've taken control of everything and updated nothing. JEDD 7, second building was Canal, no update. TIF sewer capacity, Trent Stepp had to send a letter after he met with you stating that after this board voted to have me negotiate, and I was, that you met with him and told him that it will go through you and not me. That's an action outside the board, contrary to boards. My 3 minutes are not up.
Continuing
So,
to not tell the truth.
Trent Stepp's email, I got it right here.
You want to talk about how long you've not shared?
Again, the promised agenda items of the residents on Mink are never considered. This board is less transparent. I can't believe that it was possible than the past board. The records requests that are not complied with by most people in this township is astounding. So this, again, Ms. McKee, this is my time. If you want to have comments afterwards, but this is about respect. At the top of the agenda, that was what you written. That's what you have posted on your podium. Besides call to question is your ethical treatment, but you don't treat people with respect. You just need to control, and that's wrong. So transparency, again, I asked for transparency with the trouble contract, and you don't want to provide it. I asked for transparency on anything else, you don't provide it. I have to perform records requests as a resident, and those are still not complied with. And the prosecutor did state in an email, and I will release it, that I should have access to those emails.
No, he didn't.
And
No, he didn't.
yes, he did.
No, he did not.
Yes, he did. I'll provide it to the reporter. So you even acknowledged it in that meeting.
No, it's not.
So this is a sham.
3 minutes.
3 minutes are up. Roll call, Julie, please.
Mr. Evans?
What are we doing? Because nobody, somebody just said 3 minutes.
We're adjourning. Roll call.
Did you call it though?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes. Good job, Mark. Yes.
Johnson, did you second?
Did you second?
Nobody seconded because nobody knows how to do a meeting this close.
Done.